Welcome back to the Fast Performance Baseball Podcast. I'm your host Cole Thomas with my co-host
Connor Reynolds.
Connor. What happened on the hitting side? This last week that you want to shout out? Unfinished goldfish. It's the wrong time for snack time.
A little Capri Sun. We had our first Hitchhikers League. So we went through first weekend of the Hitchhikers League, or so second season. We have a pre-spring that we're doing. So we did one during November and December, and now we've moved on to getting some guys in that way before tryouts and stuff like that. They can see some more game-like, consistent kind of swings. And so we ended up having 3 teams go 2-0, 3 teams go 0-2. We've gone through, it was all live streamed, so you guys can find that on Fast RBI, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, whatever you want, if you want to watch the entire series. Or I did a kind of recap of it, and that's on my YouTube as well, just kind of breaking down all of the league leaders and who did really well. Just a nice little recap. It was pretty fun, man. I'm really excited. We had finally had our first hundo.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Your boy Gavin Sparks came out, showed out really well.
Good on him.
Yeah, so ended up hitting a ball at one point. I think it was like 96, 97.
Damn.
Yeah, so he was doing pretty well.
I mean, he did have that 194 thing at a PBR event somewhere. I forgot which one it was, but yeah, no, he's got good stuff. For me on the pitching side, we did Mount Velo on Friday. I was there by myself. Jason went out to the rodeo for the stock show.
Hey yo!
So we had a couple big PRs that were hit. Mr. Raleigh March King, he's one of Jason's guys, finally got his first 80 in his life.
Let's
so
go.
as a junior lefty up at Rocky Mountain up in Fort Collins, so that was really exciting for him. Then our boy Frank. Jumping on everything. He finally got a 74, broke a 74 on his mound velocity. So those were the big 2 that we had that were probably the most exciting, I would say.
Let's go, baby! Congrats, boys.
Anything that else happened this week or?
Yeah, we had a good amount of PRs and pulling those bad boys up as we speak. So let's see here. All right, so we had alrighty. Colin Johnson got a PR on exit velo distance and rotational acceleration. Mr. Leo got an exit velo and distance. Frank got a rotational acceleration. Heather Hickey ended up getting a rotation, acceleration, and exit velo. Frank got another distance and exit velo PR. And then Blake Robinson got a distance PR. Colin Johnson, let's see here. And then Jane Perez ended up getting a PR as well. So we've gotten a good amount of PRs from this past week. So I was pretty excited. And a good amount of them came from the Hitchhikers League. Okay. So it's like for underclassmen, it's set up at 80 with an absolute hammer of a curveball. Mm-hmm. Upperclassmen, they're at 85 with a hammer of a curveball. And so like to have guys competing in a game-like atmosphere and getting PRs there, for me, that's like super exciting. I feel like that's what's going to make it be able to translate from training into the game.
Yeah. Does it translate? It's always the big question, right? Does it everything we do in here, when can you translate it into game-like scenarios, which is what we're trying to achieve, right? Is make it as a game-like as possible, make it as functional to the game as possible. That's why I can't wait when we start doing live APs. We'll probably start those, next week?
Hopefully soon, baby.
Yeah, probably next week we'll start starting those up. And just, get now, instead of seeing on your Hitchhikers League with the pitching machine going to them, now they see live guys throwing, and they can see a wide variety of guys. Like I can send them out Sam, I can send them out Gavin, who are upper 8s guys. I can send them Frank, who's the mid 7s guy. Like they'll be exposed to plenty of different pitch types, different pitching styles. That and then once tryouts start, they're going to be like, I'm in mid-season form, I'm ready to rock and roll. And now it just kind of comes down to if your coach is a dickhead or not. which we talked about last week. So yeah, good last week here. Fast. Can't wait for, it's one of those things like we're kind of just slowly rolling down towards, the season to begin, and then we can kind of take a little break, get our vacation or something like that.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like I absolutely love every single dude that comes in here, but when this season starts, it's only gonna last for like a week,
Right.
but it's going to be nice to kind of like not be here like 7 days
That's
a
something
week.
I'm like interested. I might just come in like the 3 times I need to do some social media or ride the bike, and then after I'm like,
Just kind
I'm
dude, it's
I'm at
going to be
home.
so nice.
Leave me alone for that. Leave me alone for that week. After tryouts, I'll give you that first week when you just like get settled in on your team. Then we'll go.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm like maybe I just come in 3 times. I'm like, all right, I just need to decompress here, do some other things, and then right when the season starts, I'm like, all right, now we'll get really into it.
Dude,
So
I think I've mentioned it on this potty or not, but planning a little vacay to Florida
oh right,
in
you're
March.
gonna go see Grant.
Gonna go see Grant. Gonna see. I have a former college, coaching buddy of mine, Kyle Keith. He played with the Rangers. He coached with me at Prime. He has a baby now.
Oh nice.
So him and the wifey, they moved from Fort Collins down to Fort Myers. And I have a college friend that she just ended up buying an condo, something like that.
Okay.
And so going to be able to go see her and stuff like that. So it's gonna be nice, man.
All right,
I'm gonna be on the beach,
got a
pina coladas.
got a little more than 4 weeks left. We're counting down the weeks.
Yeah, I can't wait, dude. Again, love all the athletes coming in. Love like it's not you guys. It's just the 6, 7 day grind.
We're putting in the hours. Moving on to our main topic today, I wanted to talk to you, Connor, and we'll have a discussion about an Eric Cressey tweet. And for guys who don't know, Eric Cressey is the head of performance for the New York Yankees organization. He's one of probably what you say like OG, like kind of like an OG in baseball sports performance, or he's kind of like in the
he's a Mount Rushmore.
He'd be a Mount Rushmore of like baseball strength and conditioning coaches around the country.
Oh yeah.
And he had this tweet the other day that I wanted to bring up, and I think it's something that we can do when we talk like parents and athletes that are listening to this in their cars or they're listening on the way to class, whatever. Something that you guys can take away through your careers and apply it to what you guys do. So his tweet goes, quote, "A minor leaguer told me that he'd had 10 pitching coaches in 3 years in pro ball. Another said he had 3 strength coaches in 3 years of college baseball. Friendly reminder, you'll always be your own best coach, especially if you learn from / filter various influences along the way." So I like that quote because I think that's one of the things where I feel like I've been getting a lot of athletes lately who just go like, what do I do next? What do I do now? What do I do? I'm like, especially like if you've been here the first 2 weeks, I'll give you a pass. But after that, I'm like, all right, dude, you need to kind of figure this out on your own a little bit. Like, what do you think?
No, 100%, man. And like, I mean, I think I'm a great example of it at the college level. So I went to 3 different colleges and 3 different years. First school I went to, the coach that ended up recruiting me for 2 years left within like a week of me showing up on campus. So the guy that I was saying, I'm coming here so I can, work with you with your knowledge of me being a hitter, dude, gone.
Right.
Then all of a sudden we got another new coach that comes in. I think that dude was there. Jordan Stauffer actually rounding third base, really good hitting guy. He's with the Cincinnati Reds now. But I think he was only there for like a year or 2 maybe. Then I go to Garden City. I'm there. We had 2 coaching changes from my freshman year to my sophomore year. So then I went to a school out in Oklahoma. Same thing happened. The guy that recruited me, he'd been there for like 2 or 3 years. He ended up taking another job a week into the season and stuff like that. And so like, I mean, just alone in my years of just actual college, not even counting summer ball or anything like that. I mean, I had 6, 7 different coaches that came in and out, all different levels. And then again, like I said, that's not including summer ball coaches. That's not including private instruction coaches. That's not, like, that is a lot of coaches. And it goes to exactly what he's saying. Like, it happens all the time. And if you're not able to, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. Mm-hmm. And so like, if you don't have your values of what you're doing in your game, if you don't value that, you're going to listen to any other person that comes in that even has a voice. And I'm not saying that you need to say, fuck off to your coaches or anything like, I do this. you have to be able to listen and hear why. Like, why are they bringing it up? And we've talked about coaches in the past needing to understand a little bit more of athletes asking why and stuff like that. But you have to be able to know who you are, know what works for you, and be willing to be open to something else, but hear it, understand why they're wanting you to do that, and then make your judgment for your career.
I think there's a sense that I get a feeling that there are too many people who are kind of what's the kind of the biggest and newest thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Grass is greener.
yeah, there's always a grass is greener on the other side kind of aspect, but it's, it's like we've talked about. I had this kid who would come in he was in the summer. He kind of came in the late spring and then was in the summer, and he was that kid that would schedule appointments and then cancel them the
Cancel.
day of. Like he did that for 2 straight months. And I'm just saying, like, what are you doing? And then he came for like 2 or 3 weeks after they started filling out appointments, and then he was just gone. And then the next day, I see him on a social media post for another facility doing a whole like the facility wasn't doing anything, but they brought in another company
Mm-hmm.
to run evals and run like here's what you need to do. Here's how you get better. I'm like, and I said there, I'm like, dude, you blew off 2 months of the actual training that could have gotten you to do that. And then just it's like, okay, well the grass is green over there, but you never tested the grass over here, really. So that's what I'm like. I feel there's two, and it's one of those things that's a struggle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we live in such an information overload society now, where you can go on Twitter, you can go on Instagram, you can go on Facebook or like TikTok and what have you, and you go through your whole For You page. It's all baseball stuff if you're good on TikTok and you only look at baseball stuff. But you'll see one coach tell you one thing, and then you swipe up to the next thing, and it's another coach telling you a completely different story or telling you a completely different way to look at it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's very difficult to develop almost a sense of purpose and a sense of self that like, here's what I believe in, here's what I believe has worked for me, and I'm going to stick to it. I think there's too many guys who get pulled into a million directions that, like you're saying, like if you get pulled in too many directions, you're never going to go into the right direction. And it's one of those I try to tell people all the time, like find something that you feel works for you. If you have a good rapport with a pitching coach, or you have a good rapport with this guy or this hitting coach or that strength coach, like stick with them. Like you don't need to be going from place to place because, I feel there's also been many kids who I hit a plateau, I need to go to this place. Oh, I hit a plateau, I think I need to go to that place. Like just because you hit a plateau doesn't mean the guys you're working with are not doing the right thing or the wrong thing. It's just you've hit a rut in your career, and that's where you need to take advantage of it yourself and start looking in the mirror. I think there's not enough self-awareness that people can take advantage of their own careers.
100%. And I mean, I was just working with an athlete today that we just got done with a session, and he had been doing decent. I think he came in, I think he started about 3 weeks ago, made initial quick adjustments, PR kind of thing. And now we're at a point where, because we are making those adjustments, is changing his timing. Changing his timing is changing his swing decision timing. Just a lot of stuff is kind of in limbo right now because we are making that adjustment. And I walked him through, and I think this is the big thing, is that communication aspect. I think some coaches may think it, but may not always tell the athlete, or maybe the athlete doesn't believe what they're saying, like whatever that miscommunication is. So I set the athlete down, and he's frustrated. He was swinging and missing a good amount of times. And I was like, well, what's going on right here? He's like, I don't know. I just blah, 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 blah. First thing I was just like, well, one, how's your timing? We adjust the timing, gets better. But then we're going through, and I'm like, I know you were doing really well last week, but this week we're making some of the small adjustments. It's always darker before it's dawn. Like, and it's one of those where, like, the moment you start struggling, you abandon ship every single time. The lows make you realize how high the high actually is. Like, if you don't have the valley, you will never understand how good the view of the peak is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so until there is that understanding from the athlete that it's going to take time, some more than others, you got to just stick with it. And if you don't believe in the coach, I think that's one thing. Like, if I'm going to somebody and I'm like, I don't think this guy knows what the hell he's doing, that's one thing.
Right.
If it's, I don't think I'm getting better, that's a different thing. Because then you need to look into, and we've talked about in the past, why? How's your sleep? How's your nutrition? How consistent are you? Are you only coming in here for an hour, a couple days a week, and then bouncing and then doing literally nothing else outside? Are you lifting? Are you doing all those little extra things? Those are the things you need to look at first, right? Because if you believe in that coach and you're just looking in the mirror saying, well, I'm not getting better, I'm staying the same. Well, if you like the coach, obviously there's something else in this equation that's not adding up. And I don't think, one, I think kids may be a little too nervous to do that. Two, I think sometimes parents aren't willing to do that. I don't think parents are always willing to say, hey, you suck right now. Or like,
Right.
hey, it will get better, but you got to go through this sucky time right now. I think sometimes, like you said, like grass is greener. It's like, oh, well, I got 2 PRs at this place in 1 week. Well, if I go to this other place, I might get another PR in that week. And it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it's one of those, you know, what you're saying is, if you don't stick to a process, it becomes very difficult to see what. And I feel like it's almost one of the bigger judges of character is who is the kid when he struggles as opposed to when he's up and he's hitting PRs. Anybody can hit PRs and be successful and be happy and like really buy into the process. It's when you get to that into that rut, like you're saying, and then your attitude changes or the way you look at things or the way you go about your process, the way you go about your warm up. It's like I had that tweet this week where I'm like, I kind of always can know how long a kid's going to stay or how process driven he is if he can't look at his goddamn cell phone and look at his warm up. I had that tweet this week because I've had a few kids who I'm like, they'll sit around and they'll kind of do a warm up. They'll do like bands, like not to the best of their abilities. They'll do the wrist weights. I'm like, but
They'll
you
do
just
it to do it.
they'll do it to do it, right? But it's one of those things like you have to look at everything as this has a point and there is a purpose for this. If you just go through the motions of your bands or you go through the motions of your wrist weights, or just like I said, if you come in and you don't look at your phone, which your warm up and everything's written out on it, go turn it on, and you just go look at me like, what do I do now? What do I do now? I'm like, I can already anticipate this kid's not going to last long here. you know, maybe we're not like other facilities where, I'm not going to hold your hand. Right. And the same thing like with Cressy's tweet is how many times did that pro ball guy go through his 10 pitching coaches in 3 years? How many times did those coaches hold his hand? Probably not. Right. Because remember, at the organizational level, while they do want you to be successful and they want to develop you and to be a good baseball player, their priority is the organization that pays them.
Yep.
They're going to pay more attention to the organization that pays them than really holding your hand to make sure you get there. Unless you're a bonus baby or something like that, of course. Like if you're a first rounder or second rounder with millions of dollars signed to your name before you even played a pro baseball game, there's going to be a little bit of hand holding. But if you're not that guy, like we said, you need to be your own coach and you need to be able to, take the information you've received from other coaches or the coaches you're seeing now and find what works for you. It's the same, you can't fit a square hole in a round peg. You're a different pitcher. You think differently than others. You move differently than others, right? I mean, in the abstract, people move very similarly, but you've got to find what works for you, or you've got to find the cue that works for you. You've got to find the pitch that works for you. And the only way you do that is experimenting by yourself. Taking that time, taking that hour out of your day, out of the 24 hours to maybe go play catch or long toss with a buddy at the football field this summer. Or, when the field is nice enough in the winter, do it as well. There's more than one way to throw a changeup, but the only way you can find your changeup is to experiment with it. Coming in one time a week, as I have many guys do that, coming in one time a week to work on a changeup is not enough time to work on it and develop it to the position you want it to be. Same thing with your fastball velocity, same thing with your ability to throw strikes. The more you constantly work at it, the better you're going to be at it. But if you're not driven and you can't coach yourself to do those things, you're just not going to see the results you desire.
I have a good word, Trey Hannon. Trey Hannon has this hung up in his facility, and it's a really, really good banner. Shoot. let me see if I can find it. Essentially, if I can't find it, oh, whoops. So it says, oh, I can't read the top of it, but
This is great radio.
I know you gotta love it. So essentially, it says, oh, I gotta find it. I gotta find the top because I can't remember what the exact top says of it. But Trey Hannon, really good hitting coach, based out of Illinois. If anyone is looking for any places or Twitter accounts to kind of follow, if you haven't gotten your fix through fast_RBI, he's a really good account to follow. But essentially, it's the idea that you train in the dark, you'll shine when everyone's watching, right? Like if you do what you need to do when no one's looking, you're going to get it done when everyone is watching, right? And so I think there's too many athletes that, like you said, they need to have their hand held. They need to essentially go through and be told what to do. And we've seen a lot of talks about how at the younger level, we feel like that's what's essentially getting rid of the like acceleration aspect of the younger athletes. If I have to think about every move I need to do, I'm not going to be able to do it fast, right? And so you had also mentioned that you need to be able to experiment by yourself. Well, I've never seen an experiment that every single time a scientist does it, they're 100% like accurate or 100% like they never fail. That's not an experiment. You know what the result's going to be. An experiment means that there is going to be failure. And I think you mentioned it earlier, like I think we are different from other facilities. And one of the big things that we work on the hitting side is that I want my hitters fail probably 50 to 75% of every rep that they do in here. And it's one of those where some people might say like that's too much failure. Again, it varies player to player. Like one player we might do something that makes it to where if they need that boost, we will do it. But like generally, like I mean, this entire month we've been turning on the machine, going like 80 to like 90 belly button up fastballs and just, hey, figure it out. Figure it out.
Well, that's what you're gonna have to deal with in the actual game. So I don't know, like it's one of those things I hate, that point where there's a philosophy in the coaching circles where it's got to be easy in the facilities. Like, oh, we're working on something, so we're going to make it easy. I'm like, no, fuck that. Baseball is a hard sport. You can't just be like, oh, let me throw my fastball. I'm going to throw some fastballs with there's no intention behind it, or there's no consequence behind it. Like at some point there's going to be consequence. And if you're not prepared for the consequence, it becomes very difficult to be successful.
Yep.
Right. It's very like, I could get a kid to throw a 60 pitch bullpen fastballs at 80%. He's sitting 85 or whatever. But until he faces a hitter, he's not prepared. No. He's not prepared to, once again, like it turns into a different game when you're actually thrown in there and there are people watching you. There's a guy in the box who's trying to hit the ball, trying to hit the ball 450. Right. So, practice needs to be harder. And it depends on the level, right? For kids, it's like you can make it easier, but we don't really work on specific skills for the younger guys. We try to make games out of the skills we're trying to teach them. We do some skill work, but the ultimate goal is let's make games out of this, that they can learn that process while having fun and enjoying this stuff. As you get older, like into that sophomore, junior, senior level of high school, now it becomes like, all right, we do mound velo. If you don't throw a strike here, it doesn't count. Right? I don't give a shit that you hit your PR. Right? It wasn't a strike. Right? Which is going to be the expectation. No one's going to applaud you, in a game if you hit your PR on the mound, like you throw a 90, but you threw it to the backstop. Right? Some coaches will be interested in it. They'll be like, oh, this kid throws 90. He doesn't know where the fuck it's going, but he's got the potential. Right? No one's going to be. You can throw a ball to walk the guy in, like on a bases loaded. You hit 90, but you walk the base load. No one's going to care about the 90.
Yep.
Right. So you've got to be able to be willing to challenge yourself too, and that's what I feel. There are not enough kids who challenge themselves in their practice.
They rely on the coach to challenge them.
Right. And it's like I've been working with one of my kids, Sam, the Bear Creek kid. What's his struggle? Command. He throws fucking hard. He's got wicked shit, but he doesn't know where it's going sometimes. So now the challenge for him has got to be, and I didn't tell him to do this, but I've encouraged him. I nudged him in the right direction to everything you do when you play catch, when you do plyos, have a command focus to it. Like, I don't expect you to be like taking it off so you can throw the strikes, like still maintain the same intent. But when he comes in now, he's kind of adopted what Travis Kuhn does, one of our pro guys who just left in the Seattle Mariners organization. What he likes to do is take like his bucket of baseballs and he goes down all the way basically to the weight room. Essentially, he's almost throwing like a 20-30 yard throw, and he's just trying to hit the box or one of the boxes, whatever the box he's working on the plyo wall, right? So it's how can you stay on that command focus while maintaining your intent, right? So like, focus on your intent or focus on whatever you're doing, but have that command or that control aspect to it as well. If you like what we do for our guys, kids when they first walk in, they're always like, oh, why do I have to do this? Right. But when guys who have been coming in here for a while, they know exactly what I'm about to say is when a new kid or any kid walks in and they're doing plyos and we have, 4 foot by 6 foot rubber mats hanging up on the wall. If you hit the wood that's holding it up or above that, or you miss the horse stall mat, it's 10 push-ups automatically.
Let's go.
Right. Because, it's then like, well, why do I have to do this? I'm like, well, if you can't hit a 6 foot by 4 foot rubber mat from 15 feet away, how the hell do you think you're going to throw a strike? Right.
Not
So
wrong.
that's that challenge is, and now we're getting close to the season. Now we got those boxes on the wall. Now I'm in the idea of saying, if you don't throw that ball in the box, it's 10 push-ups. Right. If your goal is to throw strikes, your goal is to make hard, good throws, you've got to be accurate with it. You can't be spraying it all over the place. But then that's what changes their intention. Now their intention is, how can I throw this hard through a spot? Right. So once again, it's like adding those additional challenges. Like, you don't have to put like the weight of the world on those challenges, but it's, if I don't hit my spot, it's 5 push-ups. If I don't hit my spot, I, got to do a lap around the track or something like that. Just it's light things, but it's like, it keeps that, like, there's a pressure to that situation, right? Maybe it's like, I don't know, like, I'm kind of thinking of in golf because there's some like interesting golf practices where you can do that. And so, like, one of the good ones I'm almost trying to figure out how I can apply this to baseball. But there's this guy I follow who ran out a practice program that it's like, I forget how long it is, but one of the challenges is 3 feet around the cup, like that last 3 feet before you sink a putt. You set out like 5 balls around the hole, and you just got to go like 20 in a row, right? If you can sink 23-foot putts, which on the PGA is something like 99% of the time a PGA guy's going to hit that. The better you get at that, you start taking off strokes. But one of the challenges is if you miss, like, you've got to hit 20 in a row. And if you miss, you start over, right? So then you're getting to that 17, 18, 19, 20.
Pressure.
Like, the pressure comes up. But then what's great is, like, then you start going from 20. Then the next week is 25 in a row, then 30 in a row, 40 in a row, 50 in a row, just progressively getting there. Like, because the more it's like the same thing. It's like, if you can be very proficient at the 3-foot putt, like, you shave off strokes, you shave off, maybe you balloon into your club team, into your club bracket, your men's league or whatever, or your guy on the PGA, you jump up into the standings or the rankings. So any way you can find a way to challenge yourself, you got to do it. You got to put a little pressure on it. Is it the way of the world if I miss my 15th putt on the 20 putt in a row? No, but I just start over and you keep adding that little pressure to myself.
No, I like that a lot. And there was a drill, and I think you might be able to adopt this into the plyo side of things. But when I was younger, one of my hitting coaches, we had a game called Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would start at the number 3. And if you got a barrel, you would move up to 4. If you didn't get a barrel, you would go down to 2. And essentially, you would just play this internal game until you get to 10. You get to 10, you're in the Hall of Fame. And so you'll get guys that would, start at 3, barrel, move up to 4, barrel, move up to 5, barrel, move up to 6, miss, down to 5. And then you see those gears start kind of grinding. And you see
that's like our castle game we play with the youth guys.
Yeah.
Right. So go ahead.
And it's one of those where it's like, you have to be able, and bringing it back to the main topic, you have to be able to understand and compete against yourself. You have to be able to know and understand that you're not necessarily, you are competing against others, but mostly you're competing against yourself internally. And how much better can you be today than you were yesterday? And then tomorrow, how much better can you be from today? And if you have to have a coach to like sit there and push that, if you have to have a coach walk you through hand by hand and get you to that point, once that coach leaves, once you're working on your own, whatever it is, it's gone,
Right.
and you won't be able to find it. And the sooner that you can find it, the better it's going to be.
Well, it's like exactly like, where are you if you're, let's just say like you're the captain of a boat or the second in command, right? Like you're the second in command of this boat. If your coach is the captain and the captain goes AWOL, who's going to steer the boat?
Yep.
At what point do you need to think, all right, I need to buck up and figure out how to get this done without someone holding my hand or making sure I'm doing the right thing to improve myself. So that's where, like we said, at some point you've got to become your own coach.
Yep.
And I like one thing I'll leave, we can wrap this up, is Devin Morgan. He's the lead of the youth academy at Driveline. That's what kind of made me think about this, kind of ran the rat race in there, was I was going back through Hacking the Kinetic Chain youth level. And one of the things in the intro was, we're trying to encourage these kids, like their youth academy kids, like they're their own coach. Like we just give them the nudge, right? Because, and I've told this to a bunch of kids, is you have to be your own coach, because I can't go into your body. I can't go Casper the Friendly Ghost or whatever supernatural thing where I can take over your body and we can get the job done. I don't go home with you after our session to make sure you're eating or to make sure you're sleeping or to make sure you're doing dry reps or you're doing whatever that's going to help you into this quest to become the best baseball player you can be. So that's where you have to be your own coach and you have to be holding yourself to your own account, because I can only do so much outside of giving you a program to follow, because I know what's going to be good for you. You just have to do it. Right. But that's where that accountability comes from, is being your own coach, finding what works for you and having that nudge from your actual coach to make sure everyone's going in the right direction. All right, closing out this week's episode, I wanted to build off what we did last week, where we did the baseball reference game.
Yeah.
So last week I got Jabba Chamberlain pretty quickly.
I think it was like 3 guesses.
Yeah, 3 guesses. I got Jabba Chamberlain. So I'm gonna reciprocate and we will give you a baseball reference player.
Let's go.
So what are we gonna do? Like 20 questions?
Let's
so you figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
What year?
For anyone in the comments, see if you can get this. Anybody listening at home, see how quickly you can get this.
And write how many questions it took for you to do it.
Don't lie.
Don't lie. We know. We can see you right now. What years did he play?
He played from 1990 to 2008.
Okay. Hitter?
Yes.
Infield, outfield?
He was an infielder.
Let's see here. Any awards?
Yes. He is a 2-time MVP, 5-time All-Star, home run derby champion, 4-time Silver Slugger, won 1 batting title, and 1 Major League Player of the Year.
So I got, what was it, 2-time MVP, 5-time All-Star, 1-time MLB Player of the Year, and what were the others?
Home run derby champion, 4-time Silver Slugger, 1 batting title, and he is a Hall of Famer. Well, I guess I could count. We can count that as an award.
Fuck yeah.
So where we at? 4 questions, 5 questions?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Did he play on one team or multiple teams?
He played on 3 teams. Sorry, 3 teams in his career.
Lefty or righty hitter?
He was right-handed.
What position? Infield, but was it like predominantly short, third, first, second?
Predominantly first base.
And he is, in fact, in the Hall of Fame or will be in the Hall of Fame?
He is, in fact, a Hall of Famer.
What was the last team he played on?
Good one. The last team that he played on was Oakland. Or no, sorry. The last team he played on was Toronto. He split between Toronto and Oakland his last season.
Oh, bastard. So he went from Oakland, traded to Toronto mid-year?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Okay. What nationality?
He is African American.
Let's go. How many home runs?
Career?
Career.
He has 521.
Fuck, I should know that.
How many questions are we at?
We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I believe.
8. Oh, wow.
521 home runs. What number was he?
He was 15 or 35. Were his 2 numbers. I have a feeling people have gotten this already.
Dude, I feel absolutely like a dummy. Oh, first base, African American, Hall of Fame, 1990 to 2008. Number 15 and 35. Let's see here.
He was 15 for his first year in the bigs, and then it was 35 the entire rest.
Toronto, though. Damn. What was the first team that he played on?
The very first team he ever played on was the Chicago White Sox.
Is it Frank Thomas?
It is Frank Thomas.
Hey yo. Let's go.
we took I feel you went through so many different people.
Dude, I was like,
you were making that way harder than it needed to be.
I was looking at it and I was like, okay, yeah, Frank Thomas. I was like, all right, 1990. I'm not gonna remember too many of those guys, but I was like, all right, what was his back end?
Right.
So when did he get traded from Chicago?
So he played from Chicago from 1990 to 2005. And I believe I don't know if it was a trade. I mean, people would have to jog my memory on this.
Bro, I'm not even going to lie.
Cuz I mean, 2005, like I was really only watching the Rockies at that point.
I was watching I was a baseball savant until probably like 2010, 2011 is when I started to kind of get out of it. I did not it wasn't until you said White Sox. Once you said White Sox, I was like, oh,
yeah, okay. That's what I figured. Like once you figure out the first team, like that's gonna be a dead giveaway.
But I was like, all right, Oakland and the Blue Jays, like what the fuck?
He had his 2006 season in Oakland. His age 38 season was actually pretty good. He finished with played in how many games? 137. He had 559 plate appearances. 81 strikeouts to 81 walks.
Yeah.
He had 39 home runs. as a 38-year-old.
Dude, that sounds like Nelson Cruz
and finished
shit.
fourth in the MVP vote.
Bro, good for you.
I'm like, good for you, Frank. And that was in Oakland, and then he went to Toronto his age 39 season for one season, where he finished 23rd in the MVP vote. At the age of 39, he had 26 home runs in 155 games, 624 plate appearances. And
now he's doing what? Nutrisystem commercials?
Not the what's extends or whatever. Oh god, it's what happens. Like, hey, let's get this whole. It's just him and Jimmy Johnson just do the male enhancement ads now all the time. So awesome. All right, Connor, do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, if you guys are at all interested, Sundays 11 to 4 here Mountain Time, we will be live streaming our HitTrax League, so that'll be at fast_RBI for YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. If you guys want, stop on in. Like I said, we had a crazy amount of guys hitting the ball really hard yesterday. We're recording on Monday right now. Like I said, all the time we're on Sunday. It's a lot of fun. I'm commentating, so I've got a hot mic on it too, so talking the whole time. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Outside of that, going to be having a lot more content coming out here in a little bit, blogs, all the good stuff. Cole and I have done a reel challenge. Cole was able to get going a couple days ago. I'm going to start doing that here. And so if anybody is interested, go check out our Instagrams. Again, mine's fast_RBI. Go look at the reels. We're going to try and post one every single day for, is it 30 or 31 days?
30 days.
For 30 days. And then we're going to see who can increase the most amount of followers after
we're going to see who the algorithm likes better.
Yeah, so check that out. What about you, Cole?
You can just go follow me at cthomas624 on Twitter. I'm trying to get more active on that. I find it's absolute cesspool. I just decided I'm just going to spew anything that comes to my mind, and I'm just getting mad about it. I'm just going to put it on there. Instagram is Cole Thomas Fast. You can follow Fast at Fast Baseball on Instagram and on TikTok. And you can follow Fast Performance at Fast Performance CEO on Instagram. You can come find us on our website at Fast Colorado and find it anywhere. Thank you for listening. I think it was a fun episode, fun topic. We will see you all next Tuesday.